Hey, have you ever stopped and wondered, why does that person have such a magnetic vibe? You know, the kind of person who walks into a room and everyone just feels their presence. Maybe it's a friend, a teacher, or even someone famous. The truth is, it's not magic or luck. It's something called mindfulness, and believe it or not, both neuroscience and Buddhism have a lot to say about this. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're sitting in a park, just watching the trees sway gently with the wind. You're not thinking about what happened yesterday or worrying about tomorrow's to-do list. You're just there. That moment, that's presence. That's mindfulness, and that simple practice is at the heart of what makes someone truly charismatic. Because, let's face it, when someone is present, we feel it. It's like they're tuned in, really listening, really seeing. And you know what? Our brains are wired to pick up on that. Here's the cool part. Neuroscience shows us that when we practice mindfulness, parts of our brain linked to empathy and emotional connection actually light up. We're talking about areas like the prefrontal cortex, the part that helps us stay calm, make decisions, and understand how others feel. So mindfulness isn't just a peaceful thing Buddhists do to find Zen, although, let's be real, that's awesome too. It's also a tool to sharpen your brain and make you someone that others just want to be around. Oh, and here's a fun fact. According to Buddhist teachings, when you're fully present, you're not just observing the world, you're experiencing it with your whole being. You're connecting, not just to others, but to yourself. And that's the essence of charisma. It's not about flashy words or trying too hard. It's about being so present that people can't help but feel drawn to you. So, yeah, the next time you're with friends or meeting someone new, try being there, like really there, and watch what happens. Trust me, it's like a superpower we all have but forget to use. All right, so now that you're curious about why presence is such a big deal, let's break it down a bit more. What exactly are we talking about when we say mindfulness, and how does it really help with charisma? Let me tell you, it's way more than just sitting cross-legged on a cushion and saying Om. Mindfulness is about being here, right now, with all your senses and your mind focused on this moment. You might be thinking, okay, but what's so special about that? Well, in Buddhism, mindfulness is one of the key paths to enlightenment. It's like training your mind to not get lost in the noise of everyday worries and distraction. You're cultivating this awareness that keeps you grounded. And when you're truly present, people can feel that energy. It's calm, it's powerful, and it's real. And hey, if you're enjoying this content and want more tips on mindfulness, neuroscience, and personal growth, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us reach more people who could benefit from this. And if you're feeling extra supportive, consider becoming a member to help us keep creating this kind of content. Oh, and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how you plan to bring more mindfulness into your daily life, or if any of these tips resonated with you. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Neuroscience backs this up. You see, when you practice mindfulness regularly, your brain starts to change in some pretty amazing ways. Studies have shown that regions like the amygdala, which is your brain's panic button, become less reactive. So instead of being the person who's always nervous or distracted, you become the one who's centered and composed. People notice that, and boom, that's charisma. Think about it like this. Have you ever talked to someone who's constantly looking at their phone or seems to be somewhere else? It's frustrating, right? Now, flip that. Imagine talking to someone who's completely engaged, eyes on you, listening like you're the most important person in the world. That's the power of mindfulness in action. It turns you into someone others feel safe with, someone they trust. And here's a fun twist. The brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and social behavior, becomes stronger the more you practice mindfulness. It's almost like lifting weights, but for your brain. So not only are you becoming more present, but your brain is also getting better at helping you connect with others. So yeah, mindfulness isn't just some abstract concept. It's a bridge between what ancient Buddhist monks were teaching and what modern scientists are proving. And when you start to apply it in your daily life, your presence becomes magnetic. You don't just walk into a room, you arrive in it fully and confidently. All right, let's dive a little deeper into this idea of presence from a Buddhist perspective. In Buddhism, being present isn't just a nice-to-have skill, it's a fundamental part of living a mindful life. You've probably heard of terms like mindful awareness or being in the moment, right? Well, in the teachings of Buddhism, this is called sati, which means remembering to be fully aware of what's happening now. Picture this: a monk sitting in meditation, eyes half closed, breathing slowly. Not because they're zoning out, but because they're tuning in to their breath, their body, their surroundings. This isn't just a peaceful practice. It's training the mind to stay anchored in the present. And here's why that's so powerful for your presence. When you're fully present, you're not judging or worrying. You're just observing, accepting. People pick up on that sense of ease. It's like a quiet confidence that says, "I'm here with you, not somewhere else in my head." Now let's connect that to neuroscience for a second. When you practice this level of presence regularly, your brain starts to reshape itself, a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. You become better at focusing, your stress levels drop, and you're not as quick to react impulsively. It's like upgrading your mental software, and who wouldn't want that, right? But here's the kicker. Buddhism teaches that when you're truly present, you're also letting go of attachment and ego. You're not trying to control the conversation or worry about how you're coming across. You're just there, listening, absorbing, and responding authentically. That's when you start to notice that people lean in, both literally and figuratively. It's like they can sense that you're genuine, and they're drawn to it. So if you're looking to develop that natural charisma, take a page from Buddhist teachings. Start with simple moments, washing dishes, taking a walk, talking to a friend, and bring your awareness fully to the present. It might sound simple, but the effects can be profound. You'll start to notice that people feel more comfortable around you, more connected. And it's all because you've mastered the art of being present, something both ancient philosophy and modern science agree is a game changer. Okay, so we've talked about how mindfulness is rooted in Buddhist philosophy, but let's get into the sciencey stuff for a second. Trust me, it's just as fascinating. Here's the thing. Our brains are wired in a way that makes practicing mindfulness a game changer when it comes to presence and charisma. First off, there's this amazing thing called neuroplasticity, which basically means our brains can change and adapt based on what we do and think. When you practice mindfulness, whether that's meditation, focused breathing, or even just being present during everyday activities, your brain starts making some pretty cool adjustments. For instance, studies show that the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles decision-making, social behavior, and emotional regulation, gets stronger. You know what that means? You become better at staying calm, making people feel heard, and reacting in ways that build trust and connection. And get this, mindfulness also helps tone down the activity in your amygdala, which is like your brain's little panic button. If you're always on edge or feeling anxious, it's hard to come across as confident or magnetic, right? But with mindfulness, that panic button becomes less sensitive. So instead of overreacting or freezing up in social situations, you stay chill, composed, and fully engaged. People are drawn to that kind of energy, someone who's present and not easily rattled. Let's go a bit deeper. There's this neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is linked to pleasure and reward. Research shows that mindfulness can help balance dopamine levels, which in turn boosts your mood and makes you seem more positive and approachable. Ever noticed how charismatic people often have this subtle, upbeat vibe? Yeah, that's partly because their brains are working with them, not against them. And here's where neuroscience meets Buddhist thought. The brain's natural response to mindfulness reflects the Buddhist teaching of equanimity, or being emotionally balanced and steady. When your mind is trained to stay present without being thrown off by stress or distractions, you naturally exude a sense of ease. It's like your brain is wired to express that deep-rooted calm, and people can't help but notice. So the science backs it up. When you practice mindfulness, you're essentially sculpting your brain to be more empathetic, calm, and connected. And that's the magic formula for charisma. It's not about being flashy or loud. It's about having that presence that makes people stop and pay attention. And guess what? You've got everything you need to start training your brain right now. All right, let's jump into the practical side of things. We've talked about the why and the science, but how do you actually put mindfulness into practice to boost your charisma? Don't worry, you don't need to become a meditation guru or spend hours in silence, unless that's your thing. It's about simple, everyday habits that can make a big difference. First technique, conscious breathing before important conversations. Picture this. You're about to walk into a meeting, give a presentation, or even meet up with friends. Instead of letting your mind spin with thoughts like, what if I mess up? Or will they like me? Take a 30-second pause to focus on your breathing. Close your eyes if you can, or keep them open if you're more comfortable. And take 3 deep breaths. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for a moment, and exhale for another count of 4. Simple, right? But this quick mindfulness practice sends a powerful signal to your brain that says, hey, we're safe, we're here, and we're ready. It shifts your energy in a way that people notice when you step into the conversation. Second technique, observing thoughts without judgment. This is a classic mindfulness practice, and trust me, it's pure gold for reducing anxiety. Ever been talking to someone and suddenly think, am I doing okay? Or, oh no, did I just say something awkward? Instead of fighting those thoughts or trying to push them away, try just observing them. Oh, there's that thought again, and let it pass. When you practice observing your thoughts without judgment, your brain starts to realize that it doesn't need to hit the panic button every time you're interacting with someone. The result? You're more present and relaxed, and people pick up on that energy and respond to it positively. Third technique, micro-presence during daily activities. Here's where you take mindfulness into the everyday little moments. Washing the dishes, feel the water on your hands, listen to the sound of the plates, pay attention to every detail. It might feel silly at first, but the point is to train your brain to stay attentive and present no matter what you're doing. And here's the funny thing. The more you practice this during small, mundane tasks, the easier it becomes to carry that presence into conversations and social interactions. It's like tuning an instrument, and the music that comes out, that's your charisma. Fourth technique, listening with full attention. This one is powerful. When you're talking to someone, resist the urge to think about what you're going to say next while they're still speaking. Instead, just listen, really listen. Pay attention to their words, their tone, their expressions. This mindfulness practice signals to the other person that you're completely there. And let me tell you, few things are as magnetic as feeling genuinely heard. It's like telling someone without words, I see you, I'm here for you. The best part? These techniques are practical and don't require a lot of time. It's just a matter of remembering to apply them in your daily life. And what does neuroscience say? It shows that over time, your brain changes and adapts to make these practices second nature. More presence, more charisma, less effort. Pretty cool, right? All right, so you might be thinking, these techniques sound great, but do they actually work in real life? The answer is a resounding yes. Let's walk through a few stories and examples that show how these simple mindfulness practices can transform your presence and boost your charisma. Example 1, the leader who listened. There's a story about a well-known business leader who was famous for making everyone in the room feel like the most important person. His secret? Mindful listening. When he talked to people, he wasn't distracted, checking his phone, or thinking about the next meeting. He practiced deep listening, giving his full attention to whoever was speaking. People felt seen, valued, and heard, which made them gravitate toward him and trust his leadership. This is exactly what the mindfulness technique of listening with full attention can do for you. Example 2, the public speaker who breathed before speaking. Imagine a public speaker who, before going on stage, always took a minute to practice conscious breathing. It wasn't about saying a mantra or hyping themselves up. It was about grounding themselves in the present moment. This practice calmed their nerves and helped them walk on stage with a relaxed, confident energy. Audiences felt that energy and connected with it. Neuroscience explains this by showing how controlled breathing reduces the activation of the amygdala, allowing for a more composed state. So if you're about to speak or present, try taking a few deep, conscious breaths. It might sound simple, but it's a game changer. Example 3. The friend who was truly there. We all have that one friend who really listens and makes you feel like your words matter. Maybe they nod, look you in the eye, and respond thoughtfully without rushing to share their own stories. That friend is practicing mindfulness, even if they don't realize it. By being fully present, they create a sense of safety and connection. This is what mindfulness can do for you in your personal relationships. It helps you become that person people want to talk to because they know you're truly there. How you can apply these in your own life. So how do you take these examples and bring them into your day-to-day interactions? Start small. Before a meeting or chat, take 3 deep breaths. It sets the tone for being calm and present. Practice active listening during conversation. If you catch your mind drifting to what you'll say next, gently bring it back to what the other person is saying. In mundane moments like waiting for your coffee, try observing your surroundings without judgment. Feel the temperature, notice the sounds. This helps you train your brain to stay engaged. The key is consistency. Neuroscience shows that just a few weeks of these practices can create real changes in how your brain responds to stress and social cues. You'll find that you start approaching interactions with more ease and confidence, and people around you will notice that shift. So, whether you're leading a meeting, chatting with friends, or even just ordering at a cafe, these mindful practices can help you cultivate a presence that's magnetic and authentic. And remember, as Buddhist philosophy and modern neuroscience both agree, being present isn't just about what you do, it's about how you show up. So here's the bottom line. Developing charisma isn't just for public speakers, leaders, or people in the spotlight. It's for everyone, and the foundation of it lies in something surprisingly simple: mindfulness. When you start incorporating these practices into your life, you're not just learning to be present, you're rewiring your brain to respond with more calm, empathy, and connection. And that's the kind of presence that people notice and remember. Remember, mindfulness isn't just sitting in silence or trying to clear your mind. It's about being aware, whether you're talking to a friend, giving a presentation, or just standing in line at the grocery store. And the best part? It's a skill you can build little by little. Every time you practice conscious breathing, every time you choose to truly listen, instead of planning your next words, you're strengthening those pathways in your brain. You're becoming that person who makes others feel seen and heard, someone people want to be around. And as Buddhist teachings remind us, true presence isn't about seeking validation or trying to be the most impressive person in the room. It's about showing up as you are, grounded and attentive. Combine that with what we know from neuroscience, the brain's capacity to change and adapt, and you've got the perfect blend of ancient wisdom and modern science working together. So what can you do right now? Start small. Next time you're in a conversation, take a breath and focus all your attention on the other person. See how that feels. Or, during a break in your day, take a mindful moment to observe your surroundings without judgment. And don't forget to be patient with yourself. It's a practice, not a performance. If you've ever felt that charisma was something people are just born with, know this: it's a skill, and it's one you can develop. By integrating mindfulness into your daily life, you're not only enhancing your presence, you're nurturing your mind, fostering better connections, and bringing a genuine magnetic energy into every interaction. So go ahead, take that deep breath, be present, and see how your world starts to change. And if you enjoyed these insights, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more deep dives into mindfulness, neuroscience, and personal growth, and share this with someone who could use a little boost of presence in their life.